Hello and welcome, Igor Santos, composer. It's so nice to have you with us. It has been such a pleasure working on your piece, Through Thoughts of a Different Kind. So, as I understand, you wrote this piece in 2018 for the Mizzou Festival, which is run by the ensemble Alarm Will Sound, a fabulous ensemble. I have so much respect for this group. And this piece, um, you write that it was inspired by this quote by Theodor Reich. Theodor Reich was a psychoanalyst, one of Freud's first students, and this quote apparently is from 1960. I'm going to read the quote here. What does it mean when some tune follows you, occurs to you, in the middle of thoughts of a quite different kind? The piece begins with this beautiful, almost molto lamentoso violin solo full of glissandos. And then it appears to me that the pieces, that tune, that melody is then chopped up into little tiny cells with different kinds of affectations. And then organized in what we perceive as a seemingly haphazard way, in the way tunes come to you. You don't know why. And then they slowly coalesce and organize, and they burst with explosion into this machine-like hocket that's quite comical. So can you just tell me about the piece and this quote?
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Tim. And yeah, you're right. The quote from Theodor Reich is from his book called The Haunting Melody. And Theodor Reich was someone who believed that music and melody specifically could express feelings better than words. And not just feelings, but unknown feelings, and could express something about the unconscious that we can't really talk about. And so the quote is interesting to me because the idea of it is so interesting. The idea that you have this tune stuck in your head, whether you're in a very good mood or and maybe later you're very frustrated and tired, but you have the same tune stuck in your head, and why is that? What does that mean? Or and I don't think I have an answer to what that means, but um, my feeling about writing a piece of music was that it would just be interesting to have this one kind of melody that is expressed in different contexts as you put in. So sometimes the music is as the opening is very lamentoso. It's a figure that I use a lot in my music, which is just these sighing figures, lamento, and sometimes it's very extroverted or humorous, but it's all based on the same cell, as you put it. Um, and so that's just maybe the overall kind of um, inspiration for the piece. That's more abstract, and maybe something that's a little bit more concrete that I was thinking about this piece is that I was really concerned with working on repetition in my music. And so this piece kind of expresses that in different ways. So I'm working a lot with, loops,
Mhm.
loops within loops. Uh,
And slight derivations to the loops that happen periodically or
yes, yeah. It's expressing loops in very various different ways, right? So either
if I
it's
can interrupt it there,
yeah,
the viewer might see that at many times I hold up fingers and
mhm,
I'm literally helping the players remember which repetition they're on because in your piece, um, some phrases, some of them are one measure long or two measures long or five measures long, and some of them are repeated three times or six times or seven times. And so, in fact, as a performance practice issue, if you play a phrase that may be five measures long or something, it can be difficult to remember how many times have I played this phrase.
right.
So I actually sort of help them count or make sure that we're all on the same page or in the same measure. And I hold up fingers. And then I do this sometimes, which is a sign like this is the last time. We're going to go on now, just to let the audience know what the performance practice issues are. So please continue these loops.
Yeah, and so sometimes, as you mentioned, there are loops where the whole group is, playing one object that repeats, and sometimes it's when each instrument is playing its own loop, and they kind of don't overlap perfectly. So at the very beginning, you have this violin solo, this lament, and right at the first tutti, or the first time everyone plays together, everyone starts with their own loop and with all these deconstructions of the melody.
And I also want you to just talk about, if you can, the sounds themselves, because your timbral palette is so beautiful. So wisps and wheezes and air sounds, and can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's two things. One, it's I'm very interested in music imitating real world sounds, meaning, for example, sounds of the voice. So when I write the melody, I always think of a melody that could be either sung or it can be, it's kind of spoken in a way as well. And with that, with imitating the voice, there's always, of course, breathing sounds or um, non-linguistic articulations. So, for example, a lot of maybe clicks of the tongue, or uh, other breath sounds, things like that. So I think of that as really being some kind of like, because I work mostly with instrumental music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I feel like the music that affects most people, generally speaking, is music with singers. And for whatever reason, I don't write that much vocal music, but I always think of what can that, the power of vocal music or of the voice can function. How can it function instrumentally? So whenever I'm writing for instruments, I always have that in mind. Yeah, so I think that's one way where these sounds come from, or one of the inspiring sources. And the other, I think it's also just a kind of it's part of, it's not, they're not all original. I didn't create them on my own. It's part of like a larger contemporary music lexicon of sounds.
Absolutely. So timbrally, I think this piece is fabulous.
Yeah, I think, and I think, yeah, the issue of timbre is very important, because I feel like that's um, the primary thing that I think about when composing, especially again, after, I feel like after spectral music of the 70s, this is a French school of thought in the 70s that focused a lot on timbre and the inner life of a sound. Um, and after pop music, which is a lot focused on timbre, on either the timbre of a vocalist or the synthesizers, that kind of thing. I feel like timbre is something that really appeals to listeners in general, and to me as well. So it's something I'm very interested in.
I look forward to exploring and discovering more of your music. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I look forward to hearing it.